Chapter 6. Here's Blood in Your Eye. A horned lizard basks beneath the hot Texas sun. It rests in a dry gully, digesting a belly full of ants. The only sounds are the rustle of wind through the grass and a distant hawk's cry. But the lizard feels something. A slight tremor runs through the ground. Something is coming. Something big enough to be a threat. The lizard sees the coyote as it crests the hill and trots down into the gully. Like a balloon deflating, the lizard flattens itself against the ground. The knobs and spines on its scaly skin blend with the rocks that surround it. The horns on its head even cast small shadows, breaking up the lizard's outline. It's perfect camouflage. But perfect camouflage is not enough. The coyote has keen eyesight and a superb sense of smell. It catches the lizard's scent and stalks over to investigate. Knowing it's been discovered, the lizard tries to look big and fierce. It spreads out its spine-ribbed back to make its body seem wider. It brandishes the horns on its head. The coyote isn't put off. Snarling, it bares its teeth to bite. The horned lizard resorts to its secret weapon. It tenses its muscles and arches its back. It closes its eyes as the eyelids seem to swell. Suddenly, a thin stream of blood shoots out of the lizard's right eye. It rockets through the air like a jet of water fired from a squirt gun. The blood hits the coyote right in the mouth. The coyote makes a face and shakes its head, trying to get rid of the blood. The lizard sees its chance to escape. It darts over to a low rock ledge and squeezes beneath it, beyond the reach of the coyote's teeth and claws. A coyote that attacks a horned lizard is in for a bloody, bad-tasting surprise. The science behind the story. If you want to know something about horned lizards, ask Wade Shearbrook, a biologist with the American Museum of Natural History. Shearbrook is a world expert on horned lizards and their blood-squirting defense. He spent 5 years figuring out how it works. When a horned lizard is threatened, it tightens certain muscles in its head. The muscles squeeze on large veins, restricting the blood's movement. Blood can flow into the lizard's head, but it can't flow out. As the blood accumulates in the lizard's head, the pressure inside blood vessels builds. Eventually, tiny blood vessels in tissues around one of the lizard's eyes rupture. Blood suddenly comes squirting out from around the lower edge of the eye, through the tear duct. Scientists aren't sure if all species of horned lizards can shoot blood from their eyes. Those that do, however, can put on an impressive show. They may alternate eyes, shooting first from one and then the other, and the amount of blood they let loose can be substantial. In one set of experiments, Shearbrook and his colleague George Middeldorf found that some horned lizards, when threatened repeatedly, squirt out more than half the blood in their bodies, and they survived just fine. We don't think that the lizards use this much blood defensively in the wild, Shearbrook said. He suspects that most horned lizards use only a few squirts. Interestingly, horned lizards tend to reserve their bloody weapon for members of the dog and cat families. The reason? The taste of the horned lizard's blood is something dogs, foxes, coyotes, bobcats, and their relatives apparently can't stand. In our experiments, we've demonstrated that horned lizard blood contains compounds that are distasteful to canids and felids, dog and cat family members, Shearbrook explained. In order to be effective, a horned lizard's bloody defense must be accurately aimed. The blood needs to hit receptors in the mouth. For horned lizards, that means their aim has to be deadly, or they'll likely end up dead. Chapter 7. Bullies and Bait. Two-spot astanax get their name from the pairs of dark spots on their pale bodies. Small silvery fish move slowly along the lazy current. They are two-spot astanax, common in Brazilian rivers and streams. The two spots stay together in a group or school as they nibble on river-bottom plants. Little fish in a school have a better chance of surviving when a predator attacks. There is safety in numbers, you know. At least, that's how it usually works. A large, streamlined fish suddenly appears, moving fast toward the two-spot school. It's a wolffish with a low-slung bottom jaw and rows of pointed teeth. The two spots see the predator coming toward them at full speed. Without warning, one member of the two-spot school turns to its closest neighbor and bites him viciously. A few other bullies join in. They push and shove the injured fish out of the school. He tries desperately to swim back into the group, but his schoolmates won't let him. Alone in the water, he is completely exposed. He is the victim, the target, the bait. The wolffish strikes. In one quick gulp, the injured two-spot is gone. Satisfied, the big fish swims away. The two-spot school relaxes and goes back to nibbling. For the moment, they are safe. If the predator returns, though, they will be ready. They won't hesitate to turn on another member of their group and offer it up as a sacrifice. Science behind the story. Biologist Robert Young studies animal behavior. When he started working with two-spot bastinets in Brazil, his goal was to help protect them from human-made danger. Two spots are common in rivers throughout South America, including rivers with hydroelectric power plants. Two spots often swim into the power plant turbines. It's a fatal mistake because the turbine spinning blades can kill the fish. Young wanted to devise a way to keep the two spots out of the turbines. He wondered if scaring the little fish away with models of predators might be a solution. In his laboratory at the University of Salford in Britain, Young and his student Vinicius Goulart set up 8 large aquariums. They put a small school of two spots into each one. They made realistic models of two-spot predators, including wolffish. Then they designed experiments to see how the little fish responded to different sorts of predator attacks. What happened next was completely unexpected. When he first started the experiments, Ben came running out of the lab to find me, Young recalled. He said, "Rob, something weird is going on with these fish." Goulart used the wolffish model like a puppet in the water. Whenever he chased two spots with the model, the little fish turned on one member of their group. They bit it and forced it out of the school. The injured fish would swim away from the school for several centimeters and then try to get back in, Young explained. Eventually it did in the aquariums. In the wild, however, the scientists guessed it would have been quickly eaten. An injured two-spot is tempting for 2 reasons. First, it is alone. Second, when two-spot and many other fish are injured, cells in their skin release a chemical. The chemical acts like an alarm to warn other fish of danger. Any fish producing this chemical, however, is usually targeted by predators as an easy meal. What two spots do when attacked by predators is the first scientifically documented case of what Young calls active selfish behavior in nature. In other words, animals deliberately sacrifice one individual so the rest of the group can survive. It seems underhanded, nasty, even cruel, but Young cautions against thinking about two spots this way. As humans, we consider the consequences of our actions. Animals don't. They simply act in the way that evolution has shaped them to act. Chapter 8. Meet my bodyguards. The mustard plants in this field are blooming, and also under attack. A field of black mustard plants is in bloom. The plant's dainty yellow flowers attract honeybees and other insect pollinators. The flowers also attract hordes of large cabbage-white butterflies. Actually, the butterflies are more interested in the plant's leaves than their flowers. That's because the butterfly caterpillars like to eat them. All over the field, the butterflies begin laying eggs. Each female butterfly lays her eggs in tidy rows on the mustard plant leaves. In a few days, small yellow caterpillars will emerge from the eggs. They will start munching the leaves. The more caterpillars that hatch, the more leaves the mustard plants will lose. That's why the mustard plants are fighting back. They're calling in their bodyguards. Cells in the mustard plant leaves produce special chemicals within hours of the egg laying. The chemicals pass out of the leaves and are carried away on the breeze. When certain tiny wasps get a whiff of these chemicals, they track them to their source. The wasps find the mustard plants and the butterfly eggs on their leaves. The wasps get to work quickly. Each female wasp spears one butterfly egg after another with a stinger-like structure. In doing so, she kills the embryo inside the egg. No butterfly caterpillar will hatch from it now. Fewer caterpillars mean fewer leaves will be eaten. The mustard plants will be protected. But the female wasp doesn't simply destroy the butterfly eggs she finds. She uses them as small, safe places in which to lay her own eggs. Tiny wasps will hatch from these eggs. Someday, when they're grown, these wasps may catch the scent of black mustard plant in trouble. They will respond like their mothers did and become plant bodyguards too. The science behind the story. Plants can't hide from predators. They can't fly or run away. Even so, plants are far from defenseless. Black mustard plants produce substances that make their leaves taste bad to most plant eaters. But cabbage white caterpillars actually like the taste of mustard leaves. So when cabbage white butterflies mount an egg-laying attack, mustard plants fight back by getting wasps to defend them. German biologist Nina Futuros studies black mustard plants and their wasp bodyguards. Working with colleagues at Wageningen University and the Netherlands Institute of Ecology, Futuros carried out experiments to better understand how this defense system works. Scientists put two mustard plants in closed containers. One plant had just laid large cabbage white butterfly eggs on its leaves. The other plant was egg-free. The researchers then added a yellow-shaped tunnel to their experimental setup. One arm of the Y led to the egg-free plant. The other arm led to the plant with eggs. Periodically, the scientists released tiny wasps into the tunnel at the bottom of the Y. They recorded whether the wasps flew up one arm or the other, or stayed put. We tested 3 different time points, Futuros explained. We saw a response after 24 hours. At first, the wasps didn't do much of anything, but after 24 hours, they purposely headed down the arm of the Y, leading to the egg-infested plant. The experiment showed that the wasps were attracted by a chemical scent. Futuro calls such scents volatiles, released by egg-infested mustard plants. The scent is like a cry for help. Once the wasps arrive, they start laying eggs. The female wasp kills the butterfly egg when she lays her egg inside it, said Futuros. No butterfly eggs, no destructive caterpillars. I think it's remarkable that a plant with no brain and that cannot run away is able to make use of animals to defend itself. When it comes to animal and plant defenses, nature sure seems to have no shortage of remarkable strategies. Scientists regularly discover new defenses that are more clever and more amazing than any video game developers will ever dream up. In the survival game that is life, living things display endlessly creative ways to outsmart and outmaneuver whatever wants to eat them. A large cabbage white butterfly prepares to lay her eggs on a black mustard plant leaf. The plant will continue to summon its tiny wasp bodyguards until the threat from the butterflies has passed.